Alright tech family, I just ate some really good grapes and I thought that information was critical to this review, so I wanted to overshare. Anyway, today I'm going to give you my long-term thoughts on the HP Spectre x360 14. I've had a good amount of time using the laptop and feel very well equipped to share its pros and its cons. This is not going to be one of my detailed reviews covering a lot of benchmarks and tests. If you want that, you'll find it in my comparison video of the Spectre 14 versus the MacBook Pro M1 versus the MacBook Air M1 versus the XPS 13. I'll place a link to that video in the description below. Instead, this is just going to be me talking about my personal experience owning and using this laptop on a very regular basis. I was super excited for the launch of the HP Spectre 14, as were many of my viewers. It was one of the first devices with Intel's promising 11th gen processor. Plus, it came with a gorgeous OLED screen in a very useful 3:2 aspect ratio. And I've found that Spectres are usually very high quality devices that last a long time. Unfortunately though, for HP, this laptop came out around the same time as Apple's excellent new M1 MacBooks. That release, rightly so, sucked the air out of any other device released around that time. So today, we're going to look at the HP Spectre 14 to see is it a device that you should consider purchasing. By the way, I actually have two, both the same config. The 11th gen CPU, 16GB of RAM, 1TB SSD, and the OLED 13.5-inch 3000 by 2000 pixel display. The only difference is one is the Nightfall Black and the other is silver. There are three amazing things that I love about this laptop. Firstly, the display. This is the best display of any laptop I've ever used. Full stop, end of story. It's vibrant, bright, and it's that middle ground in terms of resolution that we've all been asking for. It's more pixel dense than a Full HD display, but not as dense as a 4K one. On laptops with a screen size the size of this one, I do find I notice the pixelation on 1080 resolution. I'm sensitive to this. On a 4K screen, things look really sharp to me, so I've personally always opted for 4K screens, even on smaller laptops. That being said, 4K screens tend to consume more power and not be great for battery life. This is the perfect sweet spot. It's got enough pixels that things look super sharp, but it isn't unnecessarily dense like a 4K screen. Now, I have said in numerous videos a 13.3-inch 16:9 aspect ratio display like in the HP Envy 13 is really too small for me to recommend as a primary device. It's good enough as a secondary if you have a desktop or larger laptop at home, but not as a primary. This display's 13.5-inch size and 3:2 aspect ratio is good enough for your primary productivity laptop. The extra screen real estate that you see in applications like Word or even when browsing the internet is noticeable. The second thing I like about this laptop is the keyboard. It is very comfortable to use. It feels like I have ample key travel and there is a good tactile feel to using the keyboard. Lastly, the laptop is insanely lightweight for its size. Seriously, it's a decent amount lighter than the MacBook Pro 13 and it has a bigger screen. This makes it very comfortable to have on your lap and to carry around. Oh, and bonus thing I like about it is the price. If you are lucky enough to buy one on one of Best Buy's regular rotating sales, like I did, you'll get a really nice spec machine much cheaper than competitors like the XPS or Apple's MacBook Pro. Anyway, those pros are the reason that when I write a script for this channel, the HP Spectre 14 always pops into my mind as the device I seek out to write the script on. But, there are a bunch of things that are currently preventing the Spectre 14 becoming my sole driver for casual use. Firstly, the sound. It sucks. It's not the worst I've heard, but it doesn't get that loud. It also lacks power and presence. I frequently found myself smashing the volume up button while watching a movie trying to get more sound out of the laptop. It's bizarre as it has a multi-speaker array with 2 speakers at the top and 2 underneath. Plus, I've gone into the Bang & Olufsen app to try to raise the volume by setting the equalizer to max. There's just nothing that can be done. Honestly, Bang & Olufsen should be ashamed to put their brand on this. I came from a household where my dearest mother did not have a lot of material possessions. The one and only thing that she did have was a very old Bang & Olufsen sound system. It was her prized possession, and for good reason. It sounded amazing. This is not B&O sound. Next issue, which compounds that one, is the fan noise. It comes on rather suddenly at times, even when doing something not intensive like watching a movie. When it does come on, it's quite noticeable. It isn't high-pitched, but it's reasonably loud. Now, when you have speakers that can't get that loud, you can't overpower the fan noise. So, even though this laptop has an excellent display, it's really not a good laptop for watching movies, as the fans are audibly distracting. Now, the next issue is the heat you feel when using the laptop. When on a desk, this laptop doesn't feel warm to the touch at all. It's really good when using it like that. The palm rests remain cool at all times, and even the keyboard doesn't feel that warm. However, it does have a very hot spot at the back of the laptop, which you will certainly feel if you have it on your lap. Notebook Check noticed the same issue in their review of the laptop. With the issue from the fan and the heat, I only ever use this laptop with Turbo Boost disabled. This prevents the laptop running at its max power, with the trade-off that it doesn't get as hot and as loud. To do this, I just installed Throttle Stop, click this checkbox and press Save. This is sad, as I'm now unable to get the full power out of my laptop. Plus, the fans still come on at times. It's not as frequent, but it happens. Honestly, this has left me with the feeling that this is yet another potentially really good laptop that has been let down by Intel. HP put an AMD processor in this laptop. Those processors just run cooler. Next is the chassis color. Although it's a very high quality feeling chassis, I don't like the choices. The Nightfall Black model picks up fingerprints very easily and looks, to my eyes, a little poopy. The silver model doesn't have those issues, but it has the issue where it's kinda hard to make out which key is what in certain lighting conditions. This is because they have used a light character key color on a light colored background. Honestly, I find the black keyboard of the MacBook silver models looks dated, but at least it provides contrast and doesn't have this issue. Now, even though I said I do find typing on this laptop very comfortable, which I do, unfortunately I find the keys on the right side of the laptop odd. I mean the vertical row for the end home key, etc. I sometimes mishit them as most keyboards don't have those keys there. Look, if this is the only computer you use, you'll probably get used to it. But for me, I use a number of other keyboards, and this causes me to mistype a little. It isn't a big issue, but it's something I thought worth pointing out. Alright, next issue is how hard it is to take the back off the laptop. Several screws are under a large rubber foot. This is a premium laptop, and I don't want to rip off the rubber foot to get inside the laptop. I know I won't be able to put it back on like it originally was. I would assume that this laptop has a replaceable SSD, and it would be nice to be able to get at it. Next issue is a big one. If you are using an external 4K display with this laptop, you will only get 30 Hz refresh rate. Seriously, everything is super jittery and unusable. If I scale the resolution of the display down to 1440, I get 60 Hz, so my assumption here is they are using a very dated DisplayPort version. It's odd, as there are meant to be Thunderbolt 4 ports. And yes, I have all the drivers and BIOS updated. Honestly, in this day and age, running a 4K external monitor at 30 Hz isn't acceptable. Another issue is a bit of a pet peeve of mine. Both charging capable ports are on the right side of the laptop, so you'll have to run a cable around the back if your outlet is on the left side. And talking of pet peeves, the pop-up advertisements that come up on this laptop are unacceptable. Seriously, HP, stop installing this bloatware. And lastly, this is one of those laptops that doesn't seem to sleep properly when I close the lid. Here's an example where I'm watching The Office, close the lid, and you can hear it keep playing.
Come on, you can tell me. Jim, you can tell me anything.
By the way, I've noticed this occurring more when the laptop's plugged in, so I haven't experienced actual battery drain yet, but it still worries me that that could occur, i.e. you close the laptop, put it in your backpack, and when you take it out, it's out of juice. Let's wrap here. I was really hoping that this laptop would replace my Dell XPS as my portable laptop of choice, the one I consume media on, reply to emails on, and write scripts on. I love the Spectre's keyboard and the display, and I feel myself getting super excited to pick up and use the laptop. But unfortunately, due to these issues, it's a letdown. So here's where I stand. There are people for whom this laptop is great. If George R.R. Martin, writer of Game of Thrones, called me up and said, "Josh, I need a laptop to finish the next book on," I'd tell him to buy the HP Spectre 14 straight away. He sits in a log cabin and writes all day, and he probably uses the laptop on a desk. In fact, heck, I'd give him my one so he'd finish the next darn book. But you get the picture. There are people out there whose use case is genuinely best served by the Spectre 14. I'm just not one of them. And I'd go as far as saying this: HP really needs to do better here. In my case though, as a YouTuber, there's enough I like about the laptop that I'm going to hang on to it to see if things improve. However, for now, it's not going to be replacing my Dell XPS as my everyday driver. Well, that's it from me, folks. If you like this video, you know what to do. Smash that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up and the notification bell. I would certainly appreciate it. Also, please join me on our Discord server, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, links in the description below. Until next time, I will catch you later.